Greetings.
Howdy, howdy. It's
What
that
is
time.
up?
Oh my God.
It's that time. It's that turtle soup time, everybody. This is Turtle Soup, the internet, nay, the world, nay, everybody's only community supported podcast, YouTube channel, entertainment group, rap label, whatever we are, dedicated to the ongoing journey of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles all the way from the beginning until I become the avatar of the American god of the moon, Mac Tonight. Just saying.
Mac Tonight.
Mac Tonight. Man, love me some Mac Tonight. And so, but you know what else I love about tonight, Ryan?
Tonight.
I love that we are on YouTube tonight, and we are going to be streaming for a while, talking about Ninja Turtles and all kinds of stuff. Yeah. And if you like this kind of stuff, be sure to subscribe, like, comment, do all that fun stuff. And if you don't like seeing our faces, but you like hearing our voices, go over to YouTube, or not YouTube, you're already here. Go over to wherever you listen to podcasts, and we should be there. And you can subscribe and do all the same stuff over there as well. And both of them help us out tremendously. So we sincerely appreciate all of you who have done that so far. And again, if you haven't, might as well do it. Because what else? You ain't got nothing better. You ain't got nothing better to do. So come on. But speaking of people that did the right thing, did the good work. We got our patrons, Ryan.
Did the right thing.
Did the right thing. Yes. They had to click yes or no, check yes or no, and the rest is history.
They had to check yes or no.
Okay. So those are our wonderful patrons, Mitch Fletcher and Ryan Bolton. So thank you very much, y'all. The show is made possible by people like y'all that keep us from saying clang, and we call y'all family, so thank you very much. Now, Ryan, where are we at in the journey this week?
This week, we are in May of 1997, covering the Image Comics Big Bang Comics number 10. Now, that might be a little like, what?
That's a lot.
I thought, what?
Yeah.
I thought you were doing the image. I have my image cracked open. Hello.
Right.
But there is apparently, in chronological order, this story was released between the two issues that we covered last week and the issue that we have to cover next of Image.
Right.
That gives backstory to a character. It has turtles in it, so we figured instead of making an annoying bag of tricks out of it, we'll just do it chronologically now.
Yeah.
So it's a cool backstory on a character that's in the Image universe, and it has some turtles in it too. So it should be a lot of fun.
I'm excited.
Speaking of a lot of fun, what's up?
I was wondering if you were going to read that in the thing.
I did it.
Oh, I'm proud of you. I love it. Man, what's up? Just, getting through it. Just doing all the stuff. Just getting through it, I been watching Moon Knight, and it's been delightful. I've been enjoying it a lot. Oscar Isaac is just wonderful. And been a while since I've seen Ethan Hawke, and besides his hair being weird, I've enjoyed the hell out of it. And then there's, what else am I doing? Oh, I beat Pokemon Arceus. That was a lot of fun. So now I'm in the post game of that, so that's always a treat. Going through and rounding them up, catching them all, But I've been doing that, and then working on the next Creeps record, because I know that you probably don't think I pay any mind to the things you say, Ryan. You think it's just one in one ear and out the other. And but I want you to know that, just like any other good dad, your words ring true. They're in my heart of hearts, a little bit behind the curtain, Ryan and I and Father Preston, we have a musical project that we do when other stuff isn't working. That's just a punk band essentially. But we had this idea to do a record that's kind of like, let's write songs about dudes, but like in an 80s kind of glam metal style, and maybe punk it up a little bit. And so Father Preston, as soon as it was the thought was breathed, he'd already had everything written. And I wrote some songs, but they ended up being a little bit too pop punk, and old Dad affirmed that as well. And so I was like, okay, then I'm just gonna make another one. I'm just gonna do some more. So I started working on stuff, and right now, all I've got is a hook that says something to the effect of, "Is this love when our tips touch?" That's about it. That's
right.
Yeah. And
that's right where the last temptation of Chris.
Yes, that's what the record's called, by the way. Yeah. And so because I want to make it about whenever like you shake hands with somebody and then you hug them and then you realize, oh wait, this is really close.
Oh, true.
And then
you
is
go
this
in
love?
and like a lot of times when you shake hands and you bring in that chest.
Yeah,
I mean, anybody with dangly bits knows that momentum
it's true.
creates a kind of like a
It's a
swing
pendulum
action.
Yeah, it's like there you go.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so that's I've been that's what I was gonna get to. So I've been listening to this to a ton of 80s glam like hair metal stuff to try to get in the spirit of it, you know. And as we've mentioned on the show previously, that songs just right now, like I'm a sponge, so like I'm getting like all this stuff, and it's just like constantly playing in my brain. So I'm here. It's basically like I'm just listening to like some dude's radio in a garage somewhere. That's what's going on in my brain 24/7. It's not a bad thing. It's just very strange. And so that's been an interesting journey. So if y'all have any, if any of our listeners have any songs y'all want to recommend that are like, I don't know, I like the genre and I like the tropes of it, but there's the kind of, I don't know how to describe it. I don't really want to be too crass about it, but like it seems like very limp. Like it's not very like, it's like, it's like it postulates a lot. Like it presents itself as being like something big, and then it's not.
But the music, like that's my problem with a lot of like glam is actually like there's not a lot of like attitude in the music. Rarely. It's more like it's just slow.
Yeah.
And you're kind of like, okay. Like, but the lyrics are very like self-aggrandizing.
Right.
But like the music's kind of like limp, and you're kind of like, well, then like this doesn't sound like you're really getting out there.
Exactly.
I feel like some bands break that mold. Like Twisted Sister broke that mold a lot. And Poison could rip some too. But a lot of the big songs from those hair metal bands, like Motley Crue, a lot of them are kind of like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
See, I feel like they're not really hair metal, like because they're not glam, but like Guns N' Roses rips.
Yeah, see, I never really
like
got
most
into
songs
them.
on Appetite. See, because like you have like your Paradise City of it all, and you're kind of like, all right, that one's just like slow.
Yeah,
but like My Michelle, that song rips, dude.
Yeah,
like
really?
They were never scared to be fast.
Yeah,
like they it's tight and it's fast. Like Van Halen, like 1984 is the same way. We're like those songs.
Oh, that's
rip.
right. Yeah.
Like, dude,
we talked about that.
If you haven't heard Hot for Teacher in a minute, like maybe the last time you heard Hot for Teacher was like on the radio somewhere in the background and you were just like whatever. Do yourself a favor, put that track on, turn it up, and tell me that band is not literally cooking alive. That song is so fast. Like it's
you
so
can hear
fast.
Sizzling.
Like and it's sizzling and like so I understand what you're saying because it needs to have like some spunk to it. It needs to have some kick and some edge. It needs to be like up tempo and fast. It needs to almost be punk.
Yeah.
Like my favorite glam metal has a punk edge to it.
Absolutely. And so but I did go back and listen to Motley Crue, and surprisingly, I thought they were a lot like, I didn't think they were what I was looking for, but I found it to be a little bit more in that vein, but there was a lot more there than I had initially thought. But yeah, I remember, one year I was going through this same kind of mode where I was wanting to hear that, and I asked my parents for Easter. My mom's like, I want to get y'all an Easter present. I'm like, oh, that's fine. For Easter. So what do you want in your Easter basket? I was like, give me Skid Row's self-titled record, and she sure did. And so I'm thinking about Big Guns and Sweet Little Sister or whatever, and all this stuff. 18 in Life, all this stuff. The downside to it, though, and I will say this and then I'll move on, is that there are some of those songs where they like to talk about getting with younger ladies. It's like as if that's a big thing.
That's a thing that was like a lot more okay.
Yeah.
Like they're like I mean, I'm sure it's just expression, I guess. And especially like in Europe, it was like that there's a different vibe in Europe. Like back in the 80s, the vibe was very different in Europe about that. Like, I think weirdly, there's always been, it's kind of like Leon the Professional. Like that movie's like,
no.
You ever seen Leon the Professional with
so.
Like super young Natalie Portman? She's like a kid.
Oh, okay.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
So it's called The Professional in the US, but like the movie, like typically is like Leon the Professional. Anyway.
Okay.
The movie has a weird vibe. She's like probably like 10 or 11, maybe. But there's like a weird vibe in that movie between her and it's like her and this assassin. Like this assassin basically like takes her in because she's like homeless.
Yeah.
and there was like vibe, and you're like, what? And you're like, and everyone tells you like, oh, that was just France at that time, and you're like,
Oh.
what? um, so I understand like there is Depeche Mode songs that if you
Yeah.
listen to the lyrics,
Yeah.
it's about like, oh, you're just 15, but I'll take you under my wing because these other guys are gonna treat you bad, and I'll love you though.
Goodness.
And I'm like,
Oh, Lordy
I don't.
Day. Dave Gahan, I don't need that. I don't need that.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Like you, like in your
Wait
head,
3
like
years.
it's funny. Like whenever I listen to those songs, in my head I'm going like, because whatever. I'm an artistic guy. Like
Mhm.
I get it. Like I'm hearing the lyrics. I'm like, all right, well, not everything's on the surface with lyrics a lot of times. Like they
Yeah,
say
yeah,
things, but
yeah.
they mean other things. Okay,
Mhm.
and whatever. I remember like listening to Depeche Mode when I was a kid, and like every once in a while though, like Dave Gahan would drop a lyric where you're like, okay, that can't be anything else but that you're gonna sleep with a 15-year-old. I don't see how
Oh,
that's
yeah.
you took it from me. Like you know what I
Right.
mean? I was trying to defend it in my head
Yeah.
as I'm listening to it, and then you just went like, and then at night, I'm like, nope.
Oh, see, I thought you were
What
going to
about
say that you were like thinking at 15, you're like, oh man, I hope Dave Gahan comes and gets me sometimes. But then you realize,
What?
oh, wait, no, there's the other context.
I
Oh,
missed my chance.
dang
I
it.
missed my chance. Born the wrong gender and out of time.
Dang it.
God damn. No. I feel you though.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I'm very excited to work on this Creeps record because the whole premise was just glam rock and stuff like that objectifies women all the time.
Yeah,
And
so let's
we
objectify
just
men.
thought it'd be very, very funny to objectify men
Yeah, yeah,
in the same way.
absolutely.
And see how that sits with you.
Yeah.
I have concerns. I have concerns about us being able to do vocal takes. Like I think that some of the lyrics we're gonna write are gonna feel so ridiculous
yeah, yeah.
that it's gonna be a bunch of crack ups. Like
Oh,
I feel like
absolutely.
we're gonna have to like
Dial that in. Yeah.
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 like
Well,
once I have like Hostel on in the background or something.
Jeez. Well, that's how I've been. How you been, man? What you been up to?
I've been good. Let's see. My Rays dropped 3 games out of a 4-game set with the Oakland Athletics. That wasn't fun. So baseball's been the hand is striking and not giving a flower currently for my team, but it's a long season.
Yeah.
Been getting a lot of house projects done around the house, which just felt very rewarding.
Yeah.
And Brad and I are still shepherding our way through our Doctor Who for X-Files show exchange program.
That's awesome.
We were almost done with season 1 of X-Files, which I'm really excited about. And we are in the thick of season 6 of Doctor Who, which is the second season that we've watched because we picked up on season 5.
Oh, okay.
With Matt Smith. And last night had an episode that had me questioning everything.
Oh,
and,
dang.
I had like an Abed reaction to it.
Yeah.
Like there's this big reveal. It's a massive reveal. And at first I felt my mind snap like Abed. Like I literally felt like at first I go, oh,
You mean from
dude,
Community,
that's
right?
Wild, man. Yeah, from Community.
Yeah.
I was like, oh dude, that's crazy. I can't even wow. And then I started thinking too much about it. And then all of a sudden it literally went to like you know what I mean? Like it started like it broke me. So I'm on the back porch with Brad, just like ranting about why this doesn't make sense. My brain's hurting. Like I thought I had it, but now I don't have it. Now I'm wondering what it all is and all this shit. So yeah, I need to watch more Doctor Who apparently. So I get it. That's what I'm told. That I don't have the whole picture.
Dang, it's one of them.
Damn, yeah, that's kind of really been it, man. It's been a lot about that. It's been a lot about getting stuff done around the house and that kind of stuff for me.
Oh, okay.
But it's in baseball. But it's been a good time.
Oh, that's cool. Well, speaking of time, Ryan, it's been a time. It's about time for us to talk about how long of a time it's been taken for something to happen. And we're gonna have a special news report coming up here.
Yes.
In just a second.
Prepare yourselves.
Here we go. News.
They ever actually happen. Okay.
Yeah.
And Jay Cochran from Toy News International on toynewseye.com asked this very question in an article he published yesterday, and it is very complicated. Um, but now I know, and now you all are going to know. You know what I'm saying? So, to catch everyone up on what's going on with the Loot Crate thing, if you haven't like really known, in early 2021, Loot Crate offered 4 NECA TMNT themed crates. Okay, and we're just going to run through them really fast, and just kind of tell you what they all had. So crate 1, and they were all themed. So crate 1 was movie themed, and it featured Danny Carrington, Dan now. You know what I'm saying? Like, you might call him Dan. Crate 2 was arcade game themed and had Armagon as the figure. Now, that's the one that I ordered. I got skin in this game too. I'm gonna say maybe I'm not that objective. You know what I'm saying in my reporting, because where's Armagon? Where is he? Crate 3 was comic book themed and featured an exclusive Mutant Shredder figure from Mirage, from Return to New York. And then Crate 4 was cartoon themed and had Donatello the Dark Turtle. And if you ordered all of them, you also got Scrag from the cartoon as well. And of course, there was a lot of other like Loot Crate kind of stuff, T-shirts, and little crap packed in. But for the toy community, it was really about the figures, like what's going on. So they were initially supposed to ship out in what was it? August, September, October, and November of 2021, respectively. So crate 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yeah, August through November, one out a month. But that never happened. Now, COVID-related shipping stuff definitely took its toll, and I think everyone was understanding of that to a degree. But to date, only crate 1, the one that had Dan, he's Dan now, Dan Carrington, was ever shipped out to people, and that got shipped out in November of 2021, right? So that was 3 months later than it was initially advertised. However, as of now, crate 2 is 8 months late. And the other ones just 9, respectively 7 and 6 months late of getting delivered. And the most recent update on this, that's at least forward facing from Loot Crate itself, is that it has a shipping schedule that they publish online. And it states that crates 2 and 3 are now shipping in April or May. This is an update from when Jay Crocker initially wrote the article yesterday. It had not been updated. He reported that it was that they were set to ship in March. So just in between the time that Jay researched this and I did my own research, the shipping window is shifted back 1 or 2 months already. And that's when we get into the complicated part of all this, is the messy history of NECA and Loot Crate, because there's a lot going on behind the scenes, and that's kind of was the thrust of the reporting that Jay did. It was looking into, well, then how are there scenarios where maybe we don't get them? So just to explain, in 2019, Loot Crate Acquisition LLC, the original Loot Crate company that formed way back then and had massive success, filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection, owing $6 million in sales tax and another $58 million in debt to vendors. Like, that's huge. Joel Weinschenker, most notably known as a principal owner of NECA, bought Loot Crate Acquisition and formed the Loot Company, which is the current company doing business as Loot Crate. Okay, and this all happened back in 2019. So just to review, they were obviously in awful debt from mismanagement or something. 58 million in debt is it's that those debt numbers aren't wild for a company that's shipping a lot of stuff, but 58 million is a ton of money. And so you have Joel Weinschenker enters the picture, and now ever since 2019, Loot Crate and NECA have been really close, even though they're two separate businesses. Having Weinschenker between them effectively made a much closer relationship. And this all starts in 2019, which coincidentally kind of starts getting you toward when they started talking about, when they started announcing that they were going to have a lot more NECA products in Loot Crate. NECA had Loot Crates before, but now it was like a ton of NECA material was coming forward, and that was definitely a connection. Well, in February of this year, the former owners of of Loot Crate sued the Loot Company, Joel Weinschenker's company, for about $3.5 million for the Loot Company not paying back taxes that they owe from the deal where they acquired Loot Crate. And now this was filed in bankruptcy court in Delaware. We don't have access to their answer to this complaint, so everything I'm about to say is what the former owners of Loot Crate are alleging in their lawsuit, right? And for people that don't know necessarily how this works, to start, when you sue someone or you start anything, you file a complaint, and the complaint is you laying out your whole thing. You make your whole argument, like it's 100% one-sided, right? The information is not thinking of both parties. You are saying I have been wronged, and I'm going to paint my picture of how I was so devastatingly wronged. And then the defendant in the case has a chance to, and actually has to file an answer. And the answer is they get to respond in court and say, no, that's not totally right. So everything I'm about to report is from the complaint filed by the former owners of Loot Crate. Okay, so this is all allegedly kind of stuff. But the lawsuit alleges that the Loot Company is, quote, terminating the employment of various of its employees and advising them that the purchaser, which is the Loot Company, is, quote, dissolving, and appears to be making preparations to fraudulently shift Loot Crate assets into other businesses to prevent the original owners from gaining relief through litigation. So they're saying that to avoid the tax debt that they have, now owning Loot Crate, they are laying off employees, and they're telling them on the way out that the Loot Company is dissolving. And the lawsuit further alleges that they're doing this to basically take the assets, hollow out the Loot Company, and avoid a bunch of taxes and avoid any kind of relief for the previous owners. And the last bit of that is that the complaint also alleges that Weinschenker acknowledged that the Loot Company has not been making payments to tax authorities since August of 21, and has no intention of curing the breach in payments. Which, that's the biggest allegedly of it. They say that Weinschenker literally told them that, or that they know that Weinschenker knows that they're not paying taxes and they don't plan to. But this whole thing came up because they owed so much in taxes. The $58 million in debt is a reason to file bankruptcy alone. But the $6 million in like sales tax that they owe to various states, by the way, like all these states, like that's a combined amount they owe to like Texas, and like I think they owe all 50 states taxes. It's actually kind of crazy.
Wow.
So part of the deal in bankruptcy court was a decision the judge allowed them to sell off the company to Weinschenker. But part of the deal was that Weinschenker and this new Loot Company would agree to finding ways to pay back all the taxes they owe, right? Because that follows that company over. Right. It doesn't just get wiped away from bankruptcy. They owe at least the tax money. So, yeah, this obviously casts a gigantic shadow not only on the delivery of the promised Loot Crates at this point, but over Loot Crate as a whole. And like I said earlier, without having access to the Loot Company's answer, this is all one-sided. This is literally what the injured parties are claiming. And Loot Crate doesn't really have a voice right now because they're not talking. And it's very normal, you know what I mean, for people to not discuss an ongoing legal matter, not to answer people from Toy News Eye. Like, can you tell me all about your problems? That's not typically a thing that they want to do. But yeah, we'll keep you guys updated on it. It is ongoing, but it makes a lot more sense when you say, wait a minute, how could the COVID delay cause, oh, wait. Like,
there's more.
What the lawsuit alleges is true. They are basically hollowing out Loot Crate from the inside. And the problem is a lot of people on the internet have kind of been like asking like Loot Crate and NECA about this, acting like they're the same company.
Mm.
And it was a little frustrating to read because I did a lot of other research on like people like hitting them up on Twitter and IG and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and they keep asking the question the wrong way. So both sides go, look, NECA didn't buy Loot Crate.
Yeah.
Sorry. But it's like, no, it's obvious that they didn't buy Loot Crate. They just have one guy in common who's
Mm-hmm.
orchestrating both companies to collaborate, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, we'll keep everybody updated on it. It's a who knows situation. But I had a question for you, Eric. So,
Okay.
given like your just the time you've spent in the saddle with like the action figure industry and the community and all this stuff, day and date, early days, you know what I'm saying? Like your boy was the original Deadpool fan. You know what I'm saying? On those message boards, nobody knew who Deadpool was, and your boy did it. And then everybody got on Deadpool, and like, but your boy was on the Foosh
That's true.
back
I was.
like in like the caveman days.
I was.
You know what I mean? Like while I was picking my nose,
Yep.
he knew all about Deadpool. So
I did.
how long you've been following this? Like, how does this hit you? Like this news, like everything about the money, the the accusations of hollowing out Loot Crate, all this stuff, and maybe the potential for action figures not to reach people.
Yeah.
Where do you sit on this?
Well, I think from an action figure perspective, I'm okay about it because these are already made. These are already done. If I'm not mistaken, from what I can tell, at least everyone up through, I think Armagon and the Shredder have been seen. And I know that some companies or some sites had gotten Donatello as well for promo shots at least, but they've been made. So it's a matter of just getting them. And so NECA has been doing like an amazing job in the last couple years rectifying all the problems that the Turtles line had when it started out with like the scalpers and everything. So my fears of not getting these figures are it's very low. I feel like NECA's going to do right by everybody because they've done right so far. And so there's that. Now, you brought this up a couple weeks ago, or maybe even last week, asking about it. And I didn't really concern myself too much because part of the game, especially when you're pre-ordering, is obviously waiting. And then sometimes certain sites take forever. And so you just kind of chalk it up to that, plus with all the pandemic stuff going on. But then I saw the article today on Toy News Eye and sent it to you, and I was like, oh, maybe there is something here. And then finding out all about the bankruptcy stuff, that's a little scary, just because you don't know. Well, bankruptcy is a scary word anyway, but that's I feel like NECA is definitely still going to do right by everyone, so I believe that we will get these figures. I've already got the first one, but and ironically that was the one I wanted the least, but but the thing I remember in this, but see, it all kind of, when you contextualize it with the money and all these problems, it kind of makes their whole gimmick about like, hey, remember the first series? They sell really well on eBay, so you might want to go ahead and do this now and buy it all up. And it kind of makes that ring a little strange. Like, I get it from a business perspective, like that is a selling point. I can understand that. However, just given this context, it kind of makes it's a weird taste in your mouth. But yeah, I don't know.
I think the most disturbing part of it to me is that my mind keeps kind of turning over and over again, that I kind of keep not being able to like kind of run from when I think about it, is that, and once again, this is all alleged stuff, and I do not mean to, maybe cast anything on Joel Weinshaker or any of his like business dealings or whatever. This is not intended to be slanderous. It's just a question, or it's a thing that keeps going through my head.
Right.
Of, if what the lawsuit alleges is true, then you cannot separate what Loot Crate is doing and what NECA is doing. Because while they're different businesses, they have the same principal owner. So you start saying like, well, I can't just say, hey, look, NECA's going to make it right, y'all. But like Loot Crate, man, they screwed us. Because it's the same, it's two hands on two different puppets, but it's connected to the same bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't be mad at the one puppet and say he's shit, and then look at the other puppet and go, I love that guy. Like, that doesn't work. It makes me, so I think the disturbing part about what I'm reading and in my deeper research, what I saw was that there's a potential for something kind of like rotten at the core, maybe, of what's going on. And that, and like I said, there's two sides to every story, but like, if you're just going off of what the lawsuit is saying, it starts to feel like, yeah, like does this starts to shake. Not that NECA, and I know that NECA is more than just one man,
Right.
and more than just an owner. There's more people there that make it right, and there's people there that don't have that have proven to have great motivation and are fair players in all of this, right?
Oh, absolutely.
But when it goes up to the top, you do start to get concerned. If they could do this to Loot Crate, what could NECA do?
Yeah.
Because if it's the same person that has influence over each of them, and there's also ramifications technically for what could happen if a Weinshaker is found guilty of these charges.
Yeah.
Tax evasion is a massive problem.
Yeah.
Bankruptcy court doesn't play. I worked as a bankruptcy legal assistant for 2 years, and the things I saw that happen when you're in bankruptcy is like all your life are belong to us. Like when you're in bankruptcy, they completely run your whole life while you're in it, and didn't really dealt in personal bankruptcy, not in like corporate situations, but there's a chance that like these are big allegations that Weinshaker has to answer to.
Yeah.
And I start to wonder what ramifications this could have for NECA if what is alleged about Loot Crate is true. That's my biggest point. Is just like, what does this say about what's at the core of each company?
Right. And that's where it gets tricky.
What's going to happen?
Yeah, because with businesses, it's like it's one of those things where there's probably things that they can do that can get out. There's all these things that we don't know because we're just lay people. We don't really know a lot about the business side of things and how you can maneuver through these kind of things. But that's what lawyers are for. And so I'm trying to be optimistic about it and hope for the best, given that the track record. All I really care. I mean, I hate that bad things are happening to people, and I don't condone people doing illegal stuff. However, at the end of the day, I want an Armagon on my shelf. You know what I'm saying? I want a Dark Turtle. I want a Scrag.
That's kind of where I'm at, right?
And so, I mean, that's what I want. And so if NECA can bring that to me, then all will be forgiven in my eyes. But that's.
And I'll be honest, if Loot Crate cannot operate as a business anymore, if they went into debt, and then if you buy it and you look at it and go, man, I just don't think it can, like it doesn't work. I can't make it work. Then Loot Crate shouldn't exist, right? It's not proven itself to be a company that can keep its head above water, that can operate in the black. It just can't, right?
Yeah.
That's the way that kind of like the evolution and natural selection of capitalism works. If you keep being a bankruptcy risk and you just can't run a business,
right?
I understand the dissolving of potentially of Loot Crate. The weird thing is that they just keep taking orders and they just keep. Do you know what I mean? Like, there is no like, well, hold on a minute, everybody, let's see if this is going to work out. It's like, no, we'll still take your money. And you have a lot of TMNT figure collectors and a lot of just TMNT fans that have ordered these that are feel like they're getting done kind of wrong. And all of a sudden it becomes later, and it feels like they have never publicly, that I've found, acknowledged that there's a problem, going on legally. That they're like, well, COVID, and you're like, that's that starts to get shady. I don't necessarily like that, right?
It does. And I think that we're basically touching on like what the fandom is kind of getting to, or reaching that point where it's like, we need an answer. And I think they've kind of let it run as long as they can. They'll probably be watching this and they're gonna start feeling the heat. You know what I mean? From our investigative reporting.
I feel like they'll probably play this in court.
Yeah, probably. We might be subpoenaed. Hopefully not. But we got to do our due diligence for the fans. But what real quick before we have to go back to our regularly scheduled podcast, what would be one thing? All the legal stuff and all the all that stuff aside, what just personally, what would it take for them to like redeem themselves? Like, could like physically, like, could they hand deliver them to your door? Could they just would you rather just have all the money back, or would you rather have like a bigger Armagon figure? What's something? No,
I think maybe I speak for a lot of people. I know, I can speak for myself and say I just want what I paid for, and furthermore, I just want transparency. See, for me, I just want the box. I want the one box. If it comes in April or May, then I go, thank you very much. I probably don't ever order a Loot Crate again,
Oh,
to be
yeah.
honest, until
Yeah.
somehow this bankruptcy stuff is adjudicated and I know that the company is on solid ground.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, but I think some people are looking for more. I think
Yeah.
they want an apology. I think that
It goes a long way.
acting NECA and Loot Crate acting like they're two businesses that have zero interaction, like
Mhm.
almost like, well, hey, NECA's like, we sold them toys. I don't know what to tell you. And then Loot Crate's like, I mean, they COVID. Hello,
Yeah.
that's disingenuous. And I think that one thing I would like, or when I put myself in the eye of someone who's really a big Loot Crate fan,
Mm-hmm.
I think that I want transparency.
Yeah.
I think NECA should have to answer somewhat for this, or
Mhm.
or Joel Weinschenker himself should have to answer for this.
Yeah.
I think that if you're out here making these moves and you're being like, you're buying up Loot Crate and you're being like, oh, what a happy family, now we're going to tie everything in. If you've
Mhm.
got machinations like that, if you're reaching for the stars like that, but you fall and get wrecked, like, I would like transparency.
Mm-hmm.
I would like him to say, like, Loot Crate is not a functional business. I'm
Yeah.
in the middle of dissolving it because it's not great. You're going to get what you need, but like, look, sorry, we tried to make it work, but it didn't.
Mm-hmm.
But just for both companies to act like we're independent businesses, not like we're owned by the same person, like
Yeah.
that I don't like that. And I
Mhm.
think that that's what I want. I want my Armagon. You know what I'm saying? I want Armagon.
Oh, yeah.
I want him to hang out next to my Jess Harley. That's
Yeah.
what I want off the bat. And then I just want transparency around the issue.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just want them to just acknowledge that they're owned principally by the same person,
Yeah.
and that someone can answer for both sides of this, and
Yeah.
it needs to be Weinschenker. It needs to be him. The fact, what kind of gets me irritated is the fact that PR people and salespeople for both sides are getting lambasted with questions.
Mm.
And as an owner, you just let those people hang like that
Yeah.
and get hit up on social media all day, and they have to keep doing the party line because you
Yeah.
won't come out and talk about what's going on. So I just don't like that. So that's what I would want out of it.
Yeah. I think that all would be forgiven from me if I could get like not too small, but like kind of medium-sized cake pans of like Jess Harley and Armagon and some of the ancillary characters that I can bake little cakes with. And I don't know, that's just me. I just feel like that's an area that
Are we
Loot
talking
Crate.
like easy bake oven size, or are we talking like I could put it in my oven size?
Oven
Like, what are we talking about,
size,
little?
oven size, but like almost as if it's like a 6 to 7 inch. Like it could be a figure, and you could put it on your shelf if it's got the right
Oh,
consistency.
cake.
But yeah, it's just a little cake,
Yeah.
and then you could be like, "Oh, I'm gonna take a bite out of crunch," and then you bite its head off and stuff like that, and then it's oh snap, and there's jelly filled inside,
yeah,
and then
true.
there's a lot of
Okay,
options.
okay.
That's something
Yeah.
that I think that they could do, and that could be the thing that brings them out of this bankruptcy thing is the cake business. So who knows? But
Yeah.
everyone, let us know what you think about all this. Do you have any insight
Yes.
to what's going on? Definitely let us know if you have any thoughts. What would it take for you to consider all forgiven and washed away? Let us know. turtlesoupshow@gmail.com and leave a comment below also. And we'll keep you posted definitely as this story develops. But we're hoping that as long as we can get that Armagon, I think we'll be all right. But as much as we want them all, Armagon's the main.
I mean, all the people that like you and everybody else that ordered Crate 3 and 4.
Oh, that's true.
Let's
Yeah.
get it.
I want them all.
Crate 4 is the scary one. They haven't even talked about Crate 4. They had a
Yeah.
tweet talked about Crate 2 and 3. Oh, hey,
Yeah.
look, sorry guys, we got that Crate 2 and 3. Online, Crate 2 and 3 are listed for shipping.
Mm-hmm.
Crate 4 is like that just disappeared.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
no one talks about it.
Yeah.
And like if I was like in your shoes, sorry, I keep going on. If I was in
No,
your
you're fine.
shoes and I was on the hook for all 4,
Yeah.
I got a lot more to worry about than Armagon. You know what
Ah.
I'm saying? I'd be like, I got some people I'm missing.
That's true. That's true. So
But let us know how you feel about it in the comments below, and you make sure to subscribe, hit the bell icon, like everything. You know what I'm saying? Come check us out in Turtle Soup. We're live every Thursday, 8 o'clock. You know what I'm saying? For the main podcast.
Yeah.
Don't forget
So, yep. Well, definitely. And we'll catch you on the Prime side. All right, man. Ooh, that news, man. That was spicy, man. I was not expecting all of that, but
Yeah?
yeah, that was there was a lot in there, man. But
Think it was good, though? It was kind of hard hitting a little bit. But,
oh yeah, that's some hard broiled investigative journalism right there.
I was just trying to get down to the heart of it. You know what I'm saying? And I wasn't trying to get a slander suit on me.
No.
I was trying to make sure I allegedly lead my way around.
Oh yeah, no.
But,
I'm sure we did. I'm sure we did good. I mean, if anything, I mean, I repped him a little bit, so I think we balanced it out. That was pretty good. So yeah,
let's see. In chat, apparently audio was down for a bit. I don't know how long it took you to fix that.
It was only like right at the beginning. I noticed it and I got it. So I got it right before M said it. So, but thank you, M, for letting us know.
And then M's just laying out the steps like of step 1, Easy gets the figures. Step 2, Easy sends me the figures. Step 3, I make molds. Step 4, I make cake pans. Step 5, ship custom cake pans and figures back to Easy.
Okay, I think you forgot the first part where he says he's finna to get a 3D printer, and that's what he's that's where it's
yeah of course. I mean
but
he's been talking about that 3D printer for a minute. You know
oh man, I'm excited. If I got a package from him,
M's got to 3D print himself a new box for his cowboy hats so that his wallet doesn't fall in it all the time.
That's true. That's true. But
that's a big one.
Yeah,
But no, that felt like a good news segment. Definitely let us know kind of what you guys think about the new news format also. And then also, what do you guys think about that story? Because I'm curious to know how many Turtletarians are on the hook for those loot crates. Because
I definitely
got for one at least.
I definitely got them all, but yeah, it's interesting. So you about ready to get into this issue though? This Big Bang? You ready for a Big Bang, Ryan?
Bang!
The compressor kicked in as I was drinking too, and I heard you. I'm like, "What's going on?" Jesus, all kinds of stuff. All right, yeah, we're good.
Big Bang Comics number 10. You know what I'm saying? It's not. What is Big Bang Comics? It makes you. There's questions about it. Image Comics. You know what I'm saying? It's May. It's gonna be May. 1997. Issue 10. Eric, we got a cover to talk about.
We do.
Because if you're on the stands, you're kind of like, all right, Image is kind of strange sometimes.
Yeah.
Who?
Like, okay.
Basically.
Big Bang?
So
never heard.
What we have on offer is a wraparound cover, right?
Yeah.
And what do you think about it? It's
Yeah, it's interesting. So first of all, I'm thinking, is this guy named Big Bang? Like, I don't know who this is. Like, I wish my name was Big Bang.
Right?
If my nickname was Big Bang, like, hey, this is my friend Big Bang. Like, what would you? Or like,
I would hope that it wasn't like a Big Bang Theory reference.
Oh no, I would hope not. Especially in '97.
Like, if you said something like, "This is my friend Big Bang," and the guy's like, "Bazinga," yeah. Like, I
don't need to meet him.
Like,
but
wow.
But if you're in the '90s and someone's like, "Hey, this is my friend Big Bang," don't worry about him. He's all right. It's like, why? No, I'm definitely worried about the guy named Big Bang. But now this was like a military thing.
Turn my back on him. That's for sure.
Oh, absolutely not. But if this was like a G.I. Joe character, like I could see that, like Big Bang. Oh, yeah, that's his name. But this is interesting. This has got some guy looking like a really angry Robin Hood meets Robin the Boy Wonder. And he's on the cover. He's got two swords. They're very interesting. Some of our swordsmiths in the group and everything, let us know what these are, because like I'm curious, because they're very fancy. But he's also got a giant belt with a yellow or presumably gold G capitalized on it, which is awesome. His tunic kind of thing, he's got like a Zelda thing, or excuse me, a Link kind of outfit going on, and it's green with red tights and a red shirt or orange, whatever. And he's like all staged like he's gonna fight you and whatnot. And you mentioned it being a wraparound cover, which features this other brooding fellow that's up here in the corner on the back. Now those are in the forefront, and in the background you see a bunch, like a just a cavalcade of purple ninjas. And then as you go back to the front cover, you see 4 pretty naked turtles of the Teenage Mutant Ninja variety.
Naked turtles.
And then you see Splinter looking very wizardly, or presumably is Splinter, this rat creature with a robe and a burnt Cheeto stick. So yeah, there's a lot going on here, and This is
There's a
very
lot.
strange. I have no idea. Now, the other
Very
thing I want to
classic,
mention.
classic comic style with the
absolutely.
inking and stuff. Yeah,
The other
very old
thing
school.
is this is Image proper. They've got the eye in the top corner, and not only that, they have a character up in the masthead that I believe is a character we'll be introduced to it soon. I think next episode. And proper, I should say. The character's name is the Night Watchman, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah,
Yes.
so he comes into play later. But yeah, this just real quick, so I found out about this when you read issue 9, which we will next week. There's a little thing at the bottom, the editor's note that says, "Hey, go read Big Bang Comics number 10, and you're gonna find out some stuff." So I was like, okay, well, let me look into this. And then the wonderful site TMNTentity.com, they also did a write up on this, which exposed this to me because I was unaware. And and so reading through their article, I was like, okay, let me find this and see if my cool uncle's got it, and we'll take a read through it. And I thought it was pretty interesting that we should, and felt like we should cover it here on the show. So that's what we're about to do. But yeah,
And I said no.
Ryan
Eric,
said no.
No, don't make me do it.
Yeah,
And Eric
that's
said,
what.
listen to me. I know what I'm talking about.
And then
I said, okay,
yeah,
I'll trust you.
that's what happened, word for word. One quick thing too. Down at the bottom it says BTTHKSFM, which I think BT is the signature of the artist, and then the THKS FM is thanks Frank Miller, if I'm not mistaken. That's
Yeah.
So-
There were that was a tradition actually. I've seen that before.
really, I don't think I have.
Where where an artist will like if they are paying homage to another artist with their cover or with the style
Yeah.
and it's from a different company kind of thing, like they'll credit it in the signature.
Okay.
That.
Well, that's awesome.
I'm trying to figure out who BT is. I'm trying to see if it's listed in the landing page here.
Let's see.
Who BT would be. Who's the cover artist, and I'm not seeing him credited unless whoever drew this was not reading the fine print. Yeah, I don't see it.
You don't see it?
No.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't see it either.
I like to give credit where credit's due. You know
Oh,
what I'm saying?
absolutely.
But yeah, that's it. So this is our issue. Now, obviously, we're not covering everything in here because it is not all Turtles related. This is like kind of an anthology comic. We are going to be reading Galahad. That is Gary Carlson is the writer. So it's the same writer who is currently writing the Image Turtles right now. Clarence Burke is on pencils, and Jim Bronsman is on inks for the story we'll be reading. So a little bit of a tie-in because Gary Carlson is our writer in Image TMNT as well. So
Yeah.
he's got his head in it. You know what I'm saying? So we open up in New York City with your boy Galahad. Now, a little bit about Galahad. He makes a lot of references to like who he is and what he is and stuff. But I just have his page up, and I'm just going to read a little bit about him. So his real name is Jerry Randall, and he is a lawyer. And he mentions this several times. He is known as Kid Galahad and eventually just Galahad. And that's kind of it. He is he works for the district attorney. He's an attorney himself in like the Midway City's prosecutor's office. And is a little bit of a lawyer by day, kind of vigilante by night. He's like capturing a lot of the guys that he'll later convict for the city of Midway, which is an interesting way to turn that around a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Often the DA and his crew have a intermediary relationship with the superhero, like a Batman situation where it's like Batman does the dirty work so that Jim Gordon can't do it because the police can't catch these guys.
Right.
And then obviously depending on whether it's currently Harvey Dent or another DA, depending on what era you're in of Batman, there's also someone that he's relating to in the DA's office as well, and they all kind of know each other. But here your boy Jerry Randall is like, I do it all.
Mm-hmm. Oh
I
yeah.
get him and I convict him. And you're like, that sounds a little bit like one man justice, a little bit.
It does.
But he's also, but hey, but sheesh, I'm a lawyer too.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, okay, very strange. Kind of like
Yeah,
a little
it
bit of a
is.
Daredevil action, a little bit of a Murdoch, except Murdoch's more of like a personal, like he's more of a, like a personal injury lawyer at first, I think, right? And then he
I think
moves
so.
into defending superheroes,
Yeah.
like eventually. Your boy's just, yeah, it's interesting. I think it's an interesting take to have
Mm-hmm.
your hero be a vigilante lawyer.
Oh yeah.
That's a different take on it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when he's a prosecutor, pretty cool.
Right. It
So
is.
anyway, so your boy Galahad is in New York City, and he is starts off the comic absolutely shit talking compared to Midway City, where I come from. This place is the Ivy League.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Oh.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Ivy League.
Now, Midway City may sound familiar to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Midway City is currently where, in as of the last issue of Image we read, currently where Bat Splinter has flown off and is terrorizing people.
Mm-hmm.
There's a report on the news about it, and Mikey's like, Leo, wake up, you gotta hear this shit, it's crazy.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
And
yeah.
and that's just kind of going down, and that's at the end of the comic, and we know that the next arc's probably gonna be trying to figure that out, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Galahad's here to tell you, my name is Galahad. I'm a crime fighter, not a peeping Tom, despite how this looks. Um, and he is just looking at women through windows.
Mm-hmm.
He is on the hunt for an assassin only known as Headhunter.
Ooh.
No details, no pictures, no name, no gender, nothing. Just look.
Mm-hmm.
Headhunter has a reputation.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Eric. World's deadliest and most expensive assassin. I
That's
appreciate
interesting.
those two qualifiers.
Oh
I
yeah.
appreciate the most expensive assassin part.
Right.
That's my favorite.
Like, do you think that
It's like
other?
it's like how Spinal Tap is credited as one of England's loudest bands
Right. Yes.
in
Absolutely.
the movie. I love that. That's like my favorite.
Oh yeah. It makes me wonder. Like, are there other designations that are awarded to other assassins, like world's
Yeah.
deadliest and most funniest
Mo-
assassin, or like
most affordable assassin.
oh that's true. Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Um,
pro bono assassin even.
that's true
Like-
too. Yeah.
like,
Someone's just
you
doing
don't
it for
pay
the
unless I kill 'em,
jollies.
right?
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
do they
You know what I'm saying?
they have to have that, right?
You don't
like,
pay unless we win.
you don't pay unless we slay. Is that how they would phrase it? That's probably
Oh,
yeah.
no,
There
you
we go.
wrapped it up. You wrapped.
Yeah,
That's on
I
the
defined
that's on
it.
the billboard. It's a quiet billboard because
Right.
there is still a billboard. It's just like in a bad part of town. It's like
Yeah.
on the back of the billboard. You like walk behind it to see it.
Right.
Anyways,
I did to see
so,
it.
oh, okay.
Jeez, I love it.
Like it's hidden in one of those like auto stereograms, like the hidden eye things.
Oh,
Like,
oh
you know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
It's like stare at it and be like, what? 2-for-1 assassinations, I'm in. You know what I mean? I'm trying to think of a thing for buy two get one.
I was gonna
Or
say,
some public shit. Some
Like-
like slay two get one, or
Right.
like something. I don't know.
homicides 2-for-1. No, BOGO. No, what if you got like coupons from assassins in the mail? Like, it's like, hey, I'm new in town. If you need anyone killed, I'm your guy. Here's my coupon. One free assassin.
So they call it a Kogo. Clap one, get one.
Oh,
You know what
right.
I'm saying?
Go. Oh, that's great. That's great.
Anyway, so yeah, so it's also at the bottom of this page, funnily, that it says front cover art by Ben Torres. So there you go.
There you go.
That's where that credit's hiding.
Thanks,
They're like,
Ben.
we couldn't fit it anywhere else.
Yeah. No.
You know, it's weird. It's like all that room on the landing page. You couldn't
Oh,
put
yeah.
that in there.
Yeah. No.
Really?
Couldn't.
Like,
I mean, maybe he was just being
Anyway.
modest. You know.
maybe. So anyway, it turns out that Galahad has a little bit more skin in the game than I'm just after this assassin. See, Galahad is tracked the headhunter to New York City because the last victim of the headhunter was a good man named Terry Todd.
Terry Todd.
My boss in life and a good friend. You know what I'm saying? The district attorney for Midway City. That's right. Terry Todd, if you need him, knocked off by the headhunter. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Now, I don't
Yep.
know if that puts your boy in a position for advancement, but he's not happy about it.
No.
So he's spent a bunch of time tracking Headhunter all around. He spent a lot of money to find out that Headhunter would be in this hotel tonight.
Right.
Like, so he's like converging on it. So converge he does. Smashing through a window, finding a man with a bare-chested woman in bed. And this man says, "What in the Galahad?" And he
Like
says,
he
"Gee, I'm
knows him.
famous." He doesn't seem overly surprised to see me here. And we see this guy. He's kind of like a Asian-looking dude, and automatically they start the hero-villain talk,
Mhm.
where the dude in the bed's like, "Oh, so somebody betrayed me. You're out of your league, hero." And he's like,
Yeah.
And the woman kind of hops off him, and kind of like runs for the bathroom, and like your boy's kind of like, "Yeah, like hide in the bathroom and maybe you won't get hurt, lady."
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And all that crap. Well, Galahad starts fighting the gentleman who's only in his boxer shorts. You know what I'm saying?
Ooh.
Still a stud with the ninjutsu though.
Oh, absolutely.
And Galahad recognizes this. I mean, he says he learned from a master, but he's not a master kind of thing. Like,
Mhm.
but I think this guy is a true master.
Yeah.
And it's weird to see a true master of ninjutsu outside of Japan.
Yeah.
But I can hold my own. But the problem is, it ain't working so great. So he switches to a different fighting style named Savate,
Yes.
which gives him enough time to get his nightstick out.
Mhm.
Of course, when you're named Galahad and you have a tonfa, it's called Excalibur. You know what I'm saying?
Have to.
And he's got his tonfa. The guy he's fighting, this man says like, "Ah, no honor, huh?" Your boy goes, "Did you worry about honor when you sliced off Terry Todd's head?"
Dang, got him. No.
And then that's what Maury was in the background. He had his
Yeah.
cards that he was reading off of. Maury does the thing where he just puts them on his lap and leans back.
Oh yeah, yeah, and just lets it happen.
That's how much of a blowout that was. Like he's just
Yeah.
like, "I'm gonna give that a second." Like that's not in the comic, but
No.
that's what's happening in the background. Maury's
Absolutely.
like, "I'm out." Like, that was too good. Got him. So you do see though that when he strikes the guy for slicing off Terry Todd's head, that he does say "who" before right as he gets hit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when your boy thinks like that was a genuine question. He didn't know who Terry Todd was, but he had hunted him down. Because that's the thing about the headhunter. Like the headhunter don't like just randomly kill people. The headhunter spends like months like tailing.
Right.
So the fact that he didn't know who Terry Todd was a little bit not cool. You know what I mean? That's when you see a clutch arrow pop through the handle of that tonfa, and he goes, "Unless," and he turns out, bare-chested lady, actually a headhunter. You know what I'm saying? Shows you what you get. You know what I'm saying? Like, you made an assumption.
He did. He was loud and wrong.
Now there's an arrow coming out the back for you. You know what I'm saying?
And I love this. I know it's kind of it's playing on tropes, obviously, but like I always, I love it when I love strong, female characters. They're always rad, and it's nice to see that like, oh, this guy it's nice to see your heroes or your protagonist like have some follies where they they trip up and they're like, oh wait, like I misstepped and now I assumed and now I've got an arrow in me. So I really did like that.
Yeah, an arrow from you to me. You know what I'm saying? So now though, your girl ain't half dressed. She is full dressed in her assassin's gear. She says, "Fool, yes, I am the headhunter. Your male vanity prevented you from seeing the truth. He is merely a local crime lord and was to be my next target."
What?
And that's where your man goes back there like, "Oh," and Maury's like, he shuffles the cards because he's ready to go back in.
Right.
He's like, order in this Maury courtroom. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's going on? And then she says, "An honor that now belongs to you for interfering." And of course, there's a lot of Galahad calling himself an idiot and being like, "Yeah,
as he should."
really." Like he even says she's right. It was stupid of me to assume that Headhunter was a man. I hope I
Right.
live to regret it. I'm like,
Yeah.
there you go. There you go.
I like
Galahad.
that. I like that
I gotta
take on
say
it.
something about the tone. Yes, the tone off the bat on this comic is very old school.
Oh, yeah.
And I actually really like it. It's
Mm-hmm.
very old, like 80s comic book.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that, like, yes, of course, when you look at the image, I think that the image of Headhunter as she's drawn isn't that X Cup really. Like, it's not that crazy.
Oh,
I
no,
mean,
not at
like,
all.
no more crazy than a woman's ever been portrayed in tight-fitting clothes in comics ever.
Right.
But I do like the fact that even though this is an image book, this feels like an old school book, and you don't have as much objectification. If
Right.
anything, what you have is a very modern take on, like, yeah, no, that was dumb of me. Like, probably cost me my life, actually,
Yeah.
for thinking
Yeah.
that the dude was the assassin, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I really like that, and I want to give that credit for sure.
Absolutely.
But don't worry, because if you're worried about that Galahad like thinks that the murder was brutal in some way, Headhunter reassures him and says, "Your Mr. Todd died quickly. It was quick and painless. Let me show you."
Oh,
And
snap.
she starts to, I believe, garrot him with
That's what I thought. Yeah, that's
his
what it looked
own-
like. Yeah.
like clothes or something. Really, no. It's a garret. In the next panel, you see that it's actually.
Right.
I don't
Yeah,
know
because
if you say garret or garrote. I know, like, you garrote someone that, like, I don't know what the tool is called.
right.
But anyway, you see it flying out of her hand because he like flips her over his back.
Right.
So yeah, she's like, and that's how you figure out that how Terry Todd lost his head.
There you go. Because she's the headhunter.
She garroted him
Mm-hmm.
through his full neck.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is terrifying.
Oh yeah.
Like, that is crazy.
Mhm.
Anyway, the headhunter. You know what I'm saying?
That's
She
what I'm
likes
saying.
that Garrett.
Yeah.
So she's doing that, right? But your boy like has no move, so he flips her off his back, and she flies out of the window, and he says, "Oh damn!
Yep. Oh, I love it. I love it. It's so simple.
Oh damn!" And
Just-
yeah, it turns out he's like, "I didn't mean to do that.
Nope.
In fact, it's the last thing I'd want to happen."
Mm-hmm.
I'm not one of those judge and jury vigilantes. Vigilantes. I believe in the judicial system. Geez, I'm a lawyer in real life. I wanted her to stand trial and put her away myself.
Right.
There's still something about a vigilante who captures them and then convicts them that I don't like. Like it's cool. It's novel.
right.
But there's something about that being in the hands of one person. Where it's
Right.
like, yeah, but how do you like are you presenting all this circumstantial evidence in court?
Mhm.
Like, are you making your case while you're hunting them down? Do you know what I mean?
Right.
This doesn't feel like the long arm of justice is working the way it's supposed to, right?
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's like the same thing with Batman. It's like, why doesn't Batman just end them? You know, because I mean, he could probably do it and get away
Yeah.
with it and be fine, and
Yeah.
like justifiably so. But like, it's that thing that makes it more appealing is that it's like they don't play by the rules. You kind of have to. So it gives you a handicap essentially. But that's what makes it better. And then you think, but like to your point about the circumstantial evidence, as far as the law is concerned, especially here in America at least, then I don't know about Midway City. I think Midway City is in America still. I know New York is.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah.
But still, that would be, you're still dealing with an innocent man because he's not been proven guilty by the law
Yes.
yet. So if
Yeah.
Batman kills somebody, then he's killed an innocent person, and therefore by the law's standards, and is therefore just the same as them. And
Yes.
it's an
that's
interesting
where
take.
you're totally right, and that's what puts that extra sizzle on the Batman question, right?
Yeah.
Is there's a lot of, it's actually very intellectual, and it does deal with like justice and the idea of justice, and it's really cool. But when you get convicted of a crime or you get charged with a crime, the police don't charge you.
No.
The state charges you. That's a very important difference in our.
Absolutely.
That's what preserves the justice as much as we can preserve the justice in this country, is that the police investigate, the police have all the data, they make the case against you, really. Like, they just hand it all over. They're like, we think he's the man, here you go. But then after that, the state and the district attorney's office does say, we're going to prove in court you did it. And
Right.
those are two different people.
Yeah.
That's very important.
Two different,
Those are two different
institutions. Absolutely.
Yes,
and
there are
that's
two different entities that are doing this.
right. And then
Like-
that's something that the people get misunderstand a lot of times is that if something happens to you and then you don't the cops somehow get involved and you say, I don't want to press charges. Well, the state might want to press charges. And so then you can't.
Depending.
Yeah,
Yes.
depending on circumstances and stuff, that is an option for them. All that to say that, it's the state's
course.
job to do that.
Yes. Yeah, like I think people get confused because the police testify in court all the time. Like the prosecution is going to bring them in, like the arresting detective. They're going to ask them a ton of questions about like how they found you, what they found like in your apartment. They're going to ask all this, and I think sometimes they think that it's like, well, the police are basically putting me on trial, but that's not how it works. And now, unfortunately, institutional racism and other things still exist in the police and in the DA's office and in the state. So I mean,
everywhere.
Can't run from that.
Yeah, no.
But in theory and on paper, that's how it works. I think that's my inner problem with Galahad.
Yeah.
Is that unfortunately he's acting as the law enforcement and the prosecutor. And I don't like it. Like Batman doesn't do that. Do you know what I'm saying?
No. Yeah,
like that's the
he's not going to work
Batman
the next
actually
day
like
with knowing all this evidence, like knowing this stuff. Like he's because it's a conflict of interest.
It's a big conflict of interest. Also, like how often does Galahad like mess up his own like crime scenes?
Well, obviously he messes up everything so far. We're only 2 pages in, really, and he's already messed up a bunch of stuff. Not only has he assumed and bought into institutionalized sexism, he's mistakenly thrown a woman who, by all accounts, did assault him. A suspect in the headhunter
assassins, not that is not a convicted person. That is a suspect.
No. And is not an innocent bystander,
innocent until proven guilty.
But precisely. But has thrown her out the window by mistake. And he's already messed up a bunch. Now, I do love seeing a hero mess up, like I said. I do enjoy that. That is a cool thing. However, to your point, and that's something else I wanted to bring up. These vigilantes, like, I can hardly get up in the morning. How do they get up in the morning? Like, what are they doing? Because, like, they're out all night, and then they go to a day job to do their work. Like, that... Now, I can understand Bruce Wayne being a billionaire, that he can just do whatever he wants.
I like how they show it in the Nolan films where, like, it's, like, dawn, and, like, Bale is just laid in the bed.
Yeah.
Just passed out. With his, like, Batman pants still on.
Yeah.
Just, like, laid there.
Yeah,
like,
just there.
Because that's how it would be.
Oh, absolutely.
Like the early morning hours would just be like you just not be awake.
Right.
But
the only way
your boy's got to be there at 8 a.m.
He does.
I mean,
he totally does.
He's an attorney for the prosecutor. He's got to be there. Like he's got to be in court.
Yeah.
Like he's got to be going through the buzzer at 7:30.
Yep.
You're trying to be like, let me take off my shoes. And shit.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
well, and then the other thing. Oh man, I just lost my train of thought. Oh dang it! I had a thing, but I can't. Oh man, I lost it. Maybe I'll get it back.
Maybe we'll get back to it. But yeah, I mean, and he does say this. Like he does say, "I'm a lawyer in real life. I wanted her to stand trial." Like obviously, but anyway, so he does. She is injured, but there's a pulse, so he's about to call an ambulance. But unfortunately, she hops back up and knocks the hell out of him. And says, and she mutters something. I love this.
It's so good.
This is a little of that Dan Scott from One Tree Hill. like, Deb, come closer when he's having the heart attack. And she's like, Dan? Oh, come closer. You better hope I die. Like she does that where he's like, oh, I better call an ambulance. And you see her, she goes like, don't bother. And he's like, oh, what was that? And she uppercuts him and goes, I said you better make it a hearse for yourself. I'm like, oh.
That's so good. That's so good. I love it so much. So far, she has been like the best. Like all of her lines, everything she's done has been fantastic.
She comes out and calls your misogyny right off the bat. Can garrot you till your head falls off. I don't know. Like I'm kind of in love. I think you know what I'm saying. Like it's all good.
If only she was a cat, you'd be there.
Drink milk from a cat bowl, and I'd be on.
There you go.
So he's like, oh, it looks like we got company, a lot of it. Turns out here comes all these ninjas. And she's like, are these yours? She's like, nah, they're not mine. They're Foot Clan. And that's when, if you're a TMNT fan, you're kind of like, what?
Wait, what?
I love it because the Foot Clan all have those poles with the blades on the end, and like
Oh yeah,
that's one of my favorite like Foot Clan weapons. Like I love
yeah,
that. Like,
yeah. Oh, definitely.
um, so they because they can reach out and touch you. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. They
So,
totally can.
um, so yeah, he gives you some backstory from his angle. The Foot Clan are a Japanese gang who've recently become major players in New York's underworld, specializing in drugs, assassination, and arms smuggling due to a brilliant and ambitious new leader.
Ooh.
But what did I do to upset them? And then, of course, here comes your man from in there earlier, and he says, "I am Oroku Saki, leader of the Foot Clan."
That's your
And
boy. That was your boy in the room.
love this art. Love this art of Shredder.
So good.
I'm also known as the Shredder for reasons that will soon be clear to you.
Oh, I love
You
that.
will pay for attacking me. Take them. And love it.
It's so good.
Love it.
Isn't that amazing?
Love just
like
the hidden. Yes.
yeah,
Oh, God damn it. That's so good.
yeah.
That's so good because he just because he ninja vanishes. The
Yeah.
minute she pops out of the bathroom, like,
Yeah, he's
I'm
gone.
the killer. He's like, I'm out because I'm getting my reinforcement.
Yeah,
And like, you ain't gonna see me naked again.
yeah.
Now I got my armors on.
Right,
You know what I'm
right.
saying?
And it's I want to start using the phrase as what does he say? For reasons that will soon be clear to you. I want to try to work that into our thing.
Like you can say I'm also known as Easy.
Yeah,
For reasons that will soon become clear to you.
Clear to you.
You're
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
what?
That's like just like, oh, this is my friend Big Bang. For reasons that'll soon be clear to you.
Yeah. Oh shit. You don't want that.
No, you don't. You don't. But this is so good, and I love the way the foot looks. The foot look fantastic.
Yeah.
They look.
Shredder looks so good there.
Shredder
He's
looks
like
amazing.
Shredder's like almost like manga perfect right there.
Oh yeah.
That's like
Oh yeah.
That's like hurt me more Shredder Daddy.
Oh Jesus.
Like
well,
like it just looks like perfect. The proportions are great.
Right. Now, so far we don't know necessarily where this takes place. We just know that Shredder just took the throne of the Foot Clan. So we know that it's this is pre-Mirage 1 Volume 1.
This is
number 1.
Back.
So
exactly. Yeah, this is way back enough that he's not a
I mean,
known yet to the Turtles or Splinter or if not known, like he's just getting started. And Galahad only knows this as like a newly formed thing.
Right.
Like this is a new development.
Mm-hmm.
What I think is interesting is at this point in the comic, you're kind of like, wait, who put the hit out?
Yeah.
Right. That's
did we make that clear?
Right? Like,
who? Did we say?
We did.
Okay, sorry. I
the
didn't
reason
know.
she was like about to like sleep with Oroku Saki or whatever they were up to in there. The idea was that like she says out loud, "Yep, he was my next victim, but you blew that, so now I'm gonna kill you."
That's right. Okay, yeah. So that is the thing that he was. Yeah. Somebody put a hit out on him.
How cool is that? Someone put that straight hit out on Oroku Saki.
That's nuts.
Like, what? So you read that, so you're like, oh my god. So then I love this. Your boy's like looks at head over, he's like, truce. And she's like, agreed. Because and that's the thing I love about that assassin.
Yeah.
I love that kind of like that kind of shifting loyalty. Like it's interesting because it always makes you wonder, like, well, if their loyalty can shift, like, can it be set right? Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like if teaming up with me isn't out of the question,
right,
then maybe it's a little of that like Thief of the Heart of Gold a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Where you're kind of like, well, maybe I can take him down the right path.
Right. Like if I sleep with him enough, I can get him to change. Yeah. That's you see that a lot in the church.
Yes. That's one.
Yeah. Sorry.
That's one way to do it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, is a little bit of that Scorpion and the Frog situation where like you try to run that plan, and then she like betrays you. And it's like, you knew I was dangerous when you took me across, kind of thing. Like
that's true.
You just don't know, and that's what adds that risk, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she's like, agreed. So they start fighting. You know what I'm saying? They start knocking it through. And of course, he's very impressed with Headhunter and her fighting prowess. And he says he's barely getting himself through, but he's working his way up to Shredder. And he says, this is all a misunderstanding, Saki. I was after the girl, even though I didn't know it at the time. And he goes, I believe you, Knight.
Yeah. Isn't that
neat?
neat?
The first time he's referred to as Knight.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I need the girl. She and I have unfinished business.
Right.
You, however, are expendable.
Yeah.
And he says, kill him. And that's when, and this gets a little confusing. That's when a number of arrows strike the back of like the collet of his armor, like the part that goes up around his neck. And then you see him get hit by a
looks like a nunchuck
staff, or no, it's a nunchuck. Yeah, a nunchuck in the back of the head by a foot soldier. And then his dick's in the dirt, and she's like, "Fool, you could have killed Saki." And then she boosts out saying, "Our deal is off if you can't hold up your end of the bargain, Galahad."
Right.
Now, that made me look back in the previous panels of the fights. And I don't think I obviously see a Foot Clan ninja with a bow and arrow.
Interesting.
Like, I'm just taking it through as I was reading it, right?
Right.
Because there's stuff later that may talk to this, but I was like looking at this point, going like, because it's not uncommon. Do you know what I mean? For one to have a bow,
right?
But and an arrow, but I don't see it, which I think this is supposed to imply, because your girl's the one with the bow and arrow, that she chunked his ass.
Right. Now, a
little bit like, I don't got to outrun the zombies, I just got to outrun you.
Right.
Situation.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah. That's interesting, because I mean, she does have a bandana and she does kind of dress like a ninja, and I don't know a lot of fighters that can jump up and get on the street signs and the street lamps and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Besides ninjas. So everything that comics and pop culture has taught me about ninja, she's pretty much got it all.
The description.
She does. Yeah. So I can totally see what you're saying. So that does stand to reason.
It's weird. Later in the comic, they do like, they make a thing to reiterate that they look like ninja arrows. So I believe that's supposed to be coming from the foot soldiers, but it's very ubiquitous. Like, you don't know.
Right.
It's very like kind of clouded. Who shot him? But anyway, he's shot and he falls down, dead as a doornail. And your girl, old Lisa Morangi, your girl boosts out like, "Sorry, man. Like, I mean, the truce is on if you can hold your own, but now your dick's in the dirt, so I'm out."
Yeah.
And Shredder's like, "Two of you dispose of the night. The rest of you after the girl, and remember, I want her alive." That's where, like, it feels like one of those ninjas could have just cut his head off first.
Yeah, just be done with it. No.
They take his body and they dump him quickly in the sewer with the rest of the garbage. You know what I'm saying? Really cool, really literal one-page splash here. You know what I'm saying?
A sploosh, if you will.
A sploosh, if you need it. And love the panel layout here.
Yeah.
The other panel layouts have been very traditional. That's why I've kind of said it has an 80s feel.
Yeah.
Like, the comic has a retro feel.
It does.
A lot of 9-panel work. The panels are laid out different, and I want to say that it is modern panel presentation. However, it does a lot with a lot of panels, which makes you go to old, like, British 9-panel a little bit. This is one of the first pages where it opens up, right?
Yeah.
I just want to acknowledge that this page really opens up, and it feels great. Love the framing top left of him getting dumped in. Love the middle section, and then the bottom of him floating along. Just love him in silhouette.
Oh, yeah.
With the narrative. Really great. So this is like probably one of my favorite pages in the book.
I love his line. The last thing he says is, "My head was swimming. I couldn't tell which way was up. Then everything went black, and I didn't care anymore." Like,
yeah.
What's funny is that so I have anxiety reading some of this stuff, thinking about, like, we live in a small town. We live in Central Florida. There's a big ninja problem. Most people don't talk about it on the news. It gets overlooked. Yeah. So I kind of this was triggering me a little bit. I'm going to be honest. And which is why you were talking so much about the arrows and looking for the bows. Like, we're well versed in looking for bow and arrows here in Central Florida.
Absolutely.
And some people have tried to train the gators to be ninjas. It's a weird thing. Florida's weird.
Yeah.
So
sometimes it works.
Sometimes it does. It's wild. Yeah. But I said all that to say that this kind of gave me a little bit of anxiety, thinking about, well, what if I got in the back, with some arrows and thrown into a sewer like this? And I love the idea that, like, everything will go black and you don't care anymore. Like, it's supposed to feel like bad, but oddly enough, I got a little bit of hope from that. Like I got a little bit of like release to know that you don't care anymore.
That's darkish.
Is it dark?
That's dark as shit.
It's horrible.
That's dark as hell.
It's horrible.
That's dark as hell.
But the idea that you don't care
when it's
anymore.
all over, it won't be that bad because I won't care anymore. Yeah, there's.
Like-
I remember one time reading a description of like someone who, technically like froze to death on Everest, but was
Yeah.
revived.
Oh, okay.
So got to live the life of like this is what it is like if you freeze to death.
Right. Right.
And they talked at length about how at the very end, like at the beginning, it burns almost like fire because you're so cold.
Right.
But then like all your nerves like burn out basically.
Yeah.
Like they have so much pain that they just shut off. Like it's
Right.
an overload. And then you get this like dreamy warmness that you like slip into. That's like
that's
being in a
wild.
warm bed and falling asleep. I remember like reading that and being like, well, like
That sounds nice.
I guess if I freeze to death, that's something to look forward to at the end there.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. But it's an
yeah,
interesting
like-
thought.
like-
Yeah.
It's awesome. Like, well, it's just very deterministic. The layouts are beautiful, especially like in the line you're talking about. Like, then everything went black and I didn't care anymore. And in that panel, it's reversed, right? It's like reverse silhouette shades.
Yeah.
So everything is black, right? Except for the water he's floating through. It's just really, I don't know. Like, it's really well put together and it's super smart.
Right.
Which is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. So then, okay. So I want to talk a little bit about what happens here because this is really silly. Okay. But I kind of love it.
Okay.
So we cut to the turtles fishing in the sewer, like actively with like little cane poles fishing in the dirty sewer.
Yeah.
And one goes, I got a bite, Leo. Feels like a big one. And then he's like, yeah, nice going, Mikey. It sure feels like a monster. What do you suppose it is? An alligator, maybe? And then Raph comes around saying, I get to kill it if it's another gator.
Yeah.
And then I love it because I don't know who says this. But one of them says when they see they're pulling up the body of a man.
Yeah.
An actual man.
Yes.
One of them says, "Aw, it's only a floater."
Yeah.
And I'm like,
yeah.
does that mean that a lot of your fishing trips in the sewer in New York involves recovering bodies?
So much
Like,
so
'cause-
that you call him a floater. Yeah. Like
you're
that's what it
used to
does.
it.
Yeah.
Like-
This is nothing.
No, that is incredibly dark.
It
Like,
is.
childhood to grow up with. Like,
And
that
it's-
is incredibly dark.
It's very telling of the turtles, especially in their early days. If a longtime Turtletarians will know, the turtles are no stranger to ending life. They do it just regularly in the original Mirage run, and a lot of times unbeknownst to them, they just let God sort them out essentially. And yeah, so this could be very telling of their
think about
desensitization.
their life, they haven't been around any humans.
That's true.
Like, to them, human bodies floating by would be like dead
that's
turtles
interesting.
floating by for us. We'd be like disturbed, but eventually we'd be like, how did these turtles dying like crazy? Like another dead turtle? Seriously? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
that's
we
true.
wouldn't have like a shock and horror to a dead turtle that we would have to like a dead human, right? So I think that
That's
nowadays, I think that when they're grown up and they find a dead body, it's a big problem because they know humans now. Like,
Right.
Like,
Once they get
understand, like,
acquainted,
obviously that's awful. Like,
Right.
but I think now I kind of I like the tone of how like chipper they are about it because I don't think they know what they're dealing with.
No,
That's
there's
actually really
something
cool.
beautiful about that in a weird, strange way, and I
It's only
love
a
it.
floater.
Yeah, it's an interesting juxtaposition of things going on there,
is.
and that's a body that's
weird-
passed out in the sewer water.
Yes.
So
Presumed dead.
presumed
Like,
dead.
he's just dangle piece of toast at this point. And they're like, oh, another floater. And they pull him out. I mean,
Yeah.
they're like, all right, well. And then they're saying stuff like, yeah, Fancy Duds is the circus in town. Like, they're like joking about it.
Right.
And there's a weird humanity, but then a complete inhumanity to this whole
Right.
scene that I love the juxtaposition of. Like,
Yeah.
it's really, really cool. But it warrants talking about because it's very interesting.
It does, and I love how they refer to him as a cowboy, and it's funny that Shredder referred to him as a knight, and then they talk about him as a cowboy.
Yeah, I love it because they're trying to figure it out. And it's so funny. He's like,
it's
"Oh,
great.
there's circus in town," and then one of them's like, "He's a cowboy, stupid," and Donnie's like, "A cowboy? You're crazy!" And then he goes, "Look at the arrows. Who else would Indians shoot?"
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
And I'm like,
yeah.
look, that don't age right. But at the same
no.
time, they're just trying to figure this out. The only thing I'll say about this one, accidentally racist as fuck, is that they're probably have been raised on like actual old like movies that are on air TV at this point. Like, I excuse this one almost a little bit because they're dealing with dead human bodies and being like, just another floater. Like, they're so detached from reality.
Yeah, they have no idea.
I'm pretty sure they think that there are people called Indians and that they actually go out and they just shoot cowboys.
Yeah,
like that's their only understanding of that part of humanity.
Right.
Is like all that racist shit. Because like, think about all they get.
They probably don't have cable, so they're probably just watching basic TV, and basic TV
black and white movies at midnight.
Yeah, basic TV gets weird. Back in the day,
basic
for those who didn't know,
shows some old weird movies.
Yeah, whatever they get their
back
hands
in the day,
on, and a lot of that was your westerns that villainized a lot of Native Americans and stuff. And but I do love their reasoning, being children sheltered in the 90s. I can see their reasoning, and that's
humor.
Yeah,
it feels very kid-like, where they're all arguing about like what he could be. And then one of them's like, yeah, well, I see arrows, and the only time I see arrows shot is in those old movies. So pretty sure he was a cowboy because they get shot with arrows.
Right,
like,
exactly.
You know, and there is like a childlike kind of thing to it. But Leo does call out here. He's like, I bet these are ninja shafts. So he is, like we talked about in the pregame, he's his father's son. He's already looking for, are they ninja? What kind are they? Like, what's going on? But anyway, racism aside. Now we cut to it. I love this too. It continues. He's like, wow, I got dibs on the cool mask.
Yeah.
And Galahad wakes up and he's like, sorry, kid, not dead yet. Say, what are you?
I love that.
And proceeds to kind of fight a little bit.
Yeah.
Like Leo's like, help, he's got me, Raph. He's like, I'll fix that zombie, Leo. And he has like his like fishing rod, and he goes to like hit him in the head.
Yeah.
And it's really funny. Like, it's just crazy. And it's kind of a thing. I know this is kind of weird, but I always imagined the turtles when they were like really little, not like pizza, like where they're like teeny, but when they're like this age, like they're like 8 to 10 years old.
Yeah.
I always imagined them, the gang of them being like 4 really rambunctious Yodas in Empire Strikes Back. You know, Yoda, when you first meet him, he's like crazy.
Yeah.
Like, he's just like taking food and like slapping R2-D2 with his stick and being like completely like ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, I just imagine them being like that. These short little guys that are just ridiculous all the time, right?
Yeah, because they're like we talked about earlier. They're only, I think we were. What was it that showed us this? I think it was it was either Mirage or Adventures that showed the turtles. I think it was when the turtles lose their weapons or something, and they got to go get their weapon. I think it's how they get their weapons. It's
how the turtles get their weapons. Actually, it was the last thing Adventures ever published.
Oh, okay, that could be what it was. Well, is this the one
that weird thing where it's like how they got their weapons? It was one with like Bruce Lee's widow.
Yeah,
whatever.
And they're watching everything from the sewer grates and stuff. So they're witnessing people react, and the children are sponges. They pick up on all that stuff, and that's how we learn to do things anyway as humans. And so that is an interesting take, that they would be a weird bunch of kids, because almost like, I don't mean this to be rude, but like similar to how certain homeschoolers can be, that it's like they haven't been around a lot of other kids their age, so they either there's a wide variety of ways they can be.
That could happen, for sure.
Yeah,
there's a lack of like mass socialization could just happen.
Right.
With you, and that's definitely like a thing. And it just, I gotta really give the comic credit for nailing this age of turtle.
Absolutely.
Like, I really like it. And it's got a really cool feel to it. They're almost like the Sandlot kids a little bit. Like
Yeah.
you feel like when you're not watching, they're like trying out curse words with each other too.
Oh, totally.
Like randomly, Leo's like, "You old son of a bitch!" Like even though he doesn't know what that means.
No, he
You know
doesn't
what I mean? Like
but
he's using
he
a bunch
likes
of
the
like
ring of it.
old timey curses. Yeah, it's like old timey curses he's heard in like old movies late at night and stuff that he doesn't understand. And like
Yeah.
Splinter's like, "Oh, why are you talking like that?" You know?
And they're saying toot sweet and stuff
anyway.
and all that good
Oh
stuff.
yeah, they're saying toot sweet and all that crap. You know, like so's your old man. You know, like and they're saying crap like that.
Right.
So don't worry, because old dad shows up.
Yep.
He's like, Raphael, put that stick down right now. Haven't I managed to teach you boys any manners? and he's like, you boys may assist our new guest to our home. And of course, you know, your boy Galahad's about to fall over. And he's like, I can make it. And then Splinter drops this one-liner. Lean on me, Galahad. I don't bite. Not friends, that is.
That is. Yep. Dang.
I love that.
Dang.
And now, of course, you know, like Galahad's like, oh, so I guess I just got hit in the actual head really hard. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Like I just said, thank you, friend, to a
rat
life-size rat.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And his 4 turtle sons.
Yes.
Like, sure. Who reeled me up out of the water like I was a fish, were taking dibs on my clothes.
Right.
And then started to beat me.
Yeah.
like that's what happened. Like in that one.
Imagine waking up to that.
They pulled my body wasn't out of the water yet. And they were like, weird duds, is the circus in town? That's how they were treating me.
Oh yeah.
And
now their dad's here and we're friends.
Yeah. And now their dad's here. And now I'm like, thank you, friend. Wow, no, I'm just in dreamland is where I am now. And that's where I hand it over to you.
Oh.
Sure.
Well, yeah, so Galahad, they make it back to the turtle lair, and Splinter's giving him some tea, you know, as the best rat dad does. And
he's giving him tea. He's like, you'll never guess what April said. No,
right.
You'll never guess what she did. And he's like, oh really? He's like, oh, she bought this thing, but it was not a good deal. But she said, and you're like, oh, that's that tea.
Yeah, okay, that's cool. That tea. Well, this tea's got herbs for your pain and also antibiotics in case of infection. So thankfully, Galahad is, you know, not against all of that. He's up for it. So he takes it, and I love how he still has the arrows in his back. Oh my goodness, that's so nuts that they're just this dude's got open wounds and been floating in sewage. This is wonderful. So Splinter then, and it's hard to see because our computer monitor here is a little strange. See if I can zoom in a little bit more and get it. But Splinter looks evil as shit right here. Like it may be painful. I mean, it looks awesome, but he looks like terrifying.
But he looks really terrifying in the silhouette form. Yeah,
he does. But Galahad assures them that it's okay. It's not going to hurt because that was my body armor that stopped it. So, only one arrow got through to me. And Leo, this is like one of the best. I'm going to zoom in on this. I love this shot of Leo just looking so. The artist here really captures, a childlike face. If that makes any sense. Yeah. Like the look on Leo's face right here, like I totally get it. Like the look of like bewilderment and just like, oh, this is stuff I've read about. Like this is ninja arrows, right? And Splinter's, well, I can't say that Splinter's face looks very good in this shot because that's kind of not that great. He looks more like a donkey than a rat, man. But you know, whatever. So
it carries on the fine tradition of Splinter not looking like a rat every other panel sometimes.
Exactly.
You're like, is that a dog? Is that a donkey? What is it?
Right. What is it? Well, Galahad confirms Leo's suspicions that they are ninjas. In fact, the Foot Clan, and Splinter splotches. Oh no, that's the sound of him throwing stuff on Galahad's back. Excuse me. So he's still dressed in the wound and everything, and you know they're like, oh, okay, well, thanks again, but can you tell me how all you came to be? Like, what's the situation? Like, I need some answers.
Can I get, appreciate like an origin story here. So
yeah,
can I get an origin montage real fast? Because I'm feeling a little out of the loop.
Yeah, run that by me real quick. And so, Master Splinter is quick to oblige and talks about, where's my manners? Here's the whole thing. And as most of you know, Turtletarians know, Splinter was a rat. Hamada Yoshi was his master. Him and
Mirage origin if you need it.
Yeah, him and his lady, what was her name? God, why is that escaping me? I cannot think of her name to save my life.
Dang Shen.
Ting Shin, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, they came to New York to get away from Oroku's Nagi, because Nagi was right. Is that right, or is the brother? I always get that mixed up. So,
Yeah.
Oroku Nagi was wanting to get with Ting Shin, and
Yes.
then Splinter accidentally
Kind of did.
Well, Hamato
Kind of
Yoshi,
did,
yeah,
actually, in a bad way.
yeah,
Hamato Yoshi strikes him down and kills him.
yeah.
But let's flee at that point.
Right. So they had to flee, excuse me. And they come to New York. Splinter starts a small, Splinter, I keep saying Splinter. Hamato Yoshi starts a small, arts, ninja school or, martial arts school. And, then, where he has Splinter learning all the moves, much like they did in the, first TMNT movie. And then all of a sudden, Oroku Saki shows up and kills Hamato Yoshi, Ting Shin, and then gets out of there with leaving Splinter to fend for himself. Finds the turtles after the mutagen falls off a truck, hits the bowl with the turtles, falls into the sewer, mutates them, gets them in the coffee can, that whole thing. And yeah, that's where he's been teaching them to one day. Let's see, what does he say? I resolve to care for them, and I'm trying to educate them to someday function in your society, which is an interesting take on that. Real cool part right here. We get your boy Galahad saying, Yoshi was your master. My mentor trained with him also, which he mentioned earlier that he trained with somebody when he was fighting the Shredder. And so, yeah, what a small world indeed. That's I love that. I love that Yoshi had like an impact on some people.
Big.
Yeah.
That's pretty big.
Yeah.
That ties the Turtles origin now canonically into Big Bang Comics stuff.
Right. So,
which is
wild.
Great for Big Bang Comics, I feel like.
I would think so too. Yeah. But that's
a hell of a wagon to tie yourself to, for sure.
Oh, absolutely. And so Galahad's getting dressed and he's saying, "Thanks for the hospitality. I'm going to go your friend the Shredder has a prisoner I must rescue." And which I must have missed this, but I'm assuming that he's thinking that he's got the headhunter, the Foot Clan has got her somehow. Like, I think that that was somehow conveyed to him, or he thinks that. Anyway, Splinter confirms that Saki is indeed evil, and I can show you where to find him. And he's like, come follow me and stuff like that. So so they go, and this is one of the other hidden gems of this issue. This shadowy or silhouetted image of the turtles walking with various weapons and stuff. They're saying that the next ladder leads up into an alley. The shoe store is owned by the Foot Clan. Something of a joke, eh?
Get it?
Yep. And yeah, I love that. That's so subtle and so just right on the nose. It's so good.
Can you imagine going into a shoe store looking for some hot kicks, and it's all staffed by Foot Clan ninjas, but they're getting they're off duty for being a Foot Clan ninja. They're working at the shoe place, so they're really hyped to get you into some good kicks.
Oh yeah, it's like their second passion. It's like one is like being
they're like, hey man, like
murderous
what
ninjas.
You doing, man? Like you doing like white or black, dude? Like, you know what I mean? We got the Jordans and stuff, but like I don't know, man. You seem like more like a street shoe guy, you know?
Right.
And you're like, how about these Adidas? Like, oh, dude, that's hot, bro.
Yeah.
Oh my god. And they're like, thanks, man. Like, you know what I mean? And they have their mask on and everything, you know. They're like, yeah, man, you want to wear them out, bro? No, man, you keep the box, bro. You get the box. You know what I mean? Like all that shit that happens when you buy shoes, like from somebody who really cares. Like I bought some kicks for some dudes that like treat me well, and they're like, look, you want to keep that box though, because and I'm like, oh, true. You know what I mean? Like, imagine them like hyping you up.
Oh yeah, and then later you see them and they're like robbing you or something, or like killing your family or something, and you're like,
oh, they're getting your TV.
Yeah,
but right now. They want you to keep the box for those Adidas superstars. They want you to keep that box, though.
They're doing that dun, 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 like they're stealing your TV and stuff. But then they turn around and look. They're like, oh, cool shoes. and then they hop away. And
yeah.
imagine
like if like your shoes are sitting by your entertainment center, there's your TV. They're like da-na-na-na, grabbing your TV, but at the same time they look down at those kicks you just bought and they got a little scuff, and they're like da-na-na-na, like wipe that off, and then like they're out. You know what I mean? Like,
I
that's
love
the honor. That's the honor of the ninja. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I love the Foot Clan having some weird stuff like that. I love it that they're like merciless and like just horrible, but at the same time they get these really weird ticks that like are just like adorable in a weird way.
But they can't see your Jordan scuffed.
Yeah, no,
like,
they
that
can't.
Won't do.
That will not
you know
abide.
What I'm saying? Like they have to.
Yeah. That's so good. Amazing. I love that. Well, Galahad goes up and he goes, this is interesting. I don't know how I feel about this because it paints Splinter in a very different kind of take, like in a different light. Splinter goes, I have one last question for you, Galahad. When you finally confront Shredder, will you kill him? Galahad says, I don't kill Splinter ever, and I only unless I accidentally throw him out the window. And I only want Headhunter. Right. As evil as Saki may be, I have no grounds to arrest him on. So Splinter goes, all right. Actually, he says, sigh. Come, my sons, we must get back to our training. You will be needed someday to oppose Shredder and his kind. The world is changing, and there will be a need for heroes of lesser nobility. Warriors to take the battle to the enemy.
What?
Come. Yeah. Of lesser nobility.
They're introducing this whole knight thing
Yeah.
without really like introducing it.
But I kind of like it.
I like it too. I like the idea that like maybe there's a room for like inherently for Splinter and Arukusaki both to recognize how a knight is different than
a ninja,
like a sensei or a ninja,
yeah,
or like an assassin. How like those are different roles. How knight is a different role. Like
yeah.
I think that's cool.
It's like knights only eat at a round table. Like if you see a ninja's table, it's all like rectangles and stuff. So that's true. That's true facts. Yeah, Google it. Star shaped. Jeez. The turtles. They get real excited about his mask, talking about his mask and how cool it was, and they decide to make some. Which I love this. Yeah. That's so neat.
That's cool.
And which if you're unfamiliar, the turtles when in early Mirage days, they do show. I think it was from our episode live from our deathbed in Japan.
Live.
They had the skull caps and some different stuff on their mask.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles issue, and they do all have skull caps, which does feel like that's their first iteration of like, let's make some masks. Well, we can't make a domino because like, how's that stay on your face? Like
exactly,
we don't have that tech.
That's some magic we don't.
We haven't got to bandana yet, but we're at skull cap, which I think is badass.
Oh, absolutely, I love it. So Galahad goes up there, finds the store. Everything's going right, except obviously he sees that the place is really a foot stronghold, and it should be crawling with guards though. That's the problem. Like he's thinking that if this is true, this should be the situation. Turns out he found the guards, but turns out the place is knee deep with them. But they're not crawling anymore. They're dead, Ryan. Dead as a doornail.
Still warm though.
Yeah. And they say that so he says that here that 7 of them are all dead and still warm. All of them were cut. Make that slashed to death. And Headhunter's handiwork, no doubt. Where is she? I'd better be on my toes. Now, he thinks that this is Headhunter. Interesting, but they were
That's where okay. I have a point to make after this next page.
Okay. So turns around, your boy Shredder. Classic 80s, just like in the dark, just in front of the window, in front of the blinds. Yeah, just White Knight.
Damn desk. Oh, I love him at that desk. That is
I
badass.
Love it so much. And this is so Frank Miller. This is so like Sin City style.
Absolutely.
And,
absolutely.
So he says, White Knight, I had a feeling that you had survived. Your concern for me is touching but misplaced. Here to rescue the damsel in distress, no doubt. Oh, I'm sorry. I flipped that. He says here to rescue the damsel in distress, no doubt. Or something like that. One way or the other. He's sitting there at this desk. Full on Shredder gear. Badass. So they have a huge dialogue where he's like, no, I'm here to arrest her just like I told you before. She killed someone close to me. And he wants justice. Well, Shredder drops some more knowledge. Says that, and she planned to kill me. Can you guarantee that this headhunter will go to prison? She is resourceful, and suppose she escapes. If you leave her to me, I promise that she will pay for all of her crimes. But this is where Galahad has his knight's honor and all that stuff, and starts talking about how he plays it by the book, and he's taking her in. But then Shredder's like, okay, yeah, you can have her once I'm done. But I'm in your debt. You saved my life, if only by accident. I'm finished. Oh, I'm sorry. He says I'm finished with the girl. She is very intriguing, yet not to be trusted. And that makes me just interested.
Even he knows about that scorpion and the frog.
Oh, yeah.
Even he's thinking about scorpion and the frog life. He's like, I can't trust that.
Oh, yeah. No. So then this gets a real interesting twist. Because remember, Shredder's just sitting in a room full of dead foot soldiers.
Absolutely.
So he continues to say, as my lieutenants discovered, it seems that they preferred things as they were before I arrived. She was quite forthcoming with that information that they hired her to eliminate me. As you see, I've already dealt with my men. Wow. That was some dissension in the Foot Clan right there. Like, that was some, like, they didn't like the new boss. That. Yeah. That's amazing.
Love that. Love that they hired the most expensive, too.
Yeah.
Shredder must be paying them well, is all I'm saying.
Absolutely.
But imagine Orokusagi, literally, Orokusagi signs your paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
You use that money to go get him killed. Right. That's pretty cold-blooded.
Do you think he signs it like with his toe? Like he dips his toe in some ink and then puts it on the check? Like that's how he signs it? Because he's the
foot.
And he's the big toe. That's what Galahad referred to him earlier as.
No,
the big toe.
I feel that. I feel like my thing is yes, I do like the punnery of that.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like what he really would do would be to dip his two hand claws in ink and then sign two checks at a time.
Oh, that's actually really neat. Yeah, that's kind of cool.
It's also very functional.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That is neat. I like that.
He puts all the checks on all of his spikes and walks through the little barracks for the foot soldiers and just says, "Get your check."
Right.
Get your check.
Yeah.
Get your check. He's like spins around. Everyone's grabbing a check. It's like hors d'oeuvres.
Yeah.
And he's like leaves and he's got no checks on him.
Yeah. No checks.
Yeah.
Then I like the idea that eventually, if him and Baxter get together in the Mirage universe or whatever, that Baxter's coming up with new ideas to try to like get in his graces. So he's got the claws, but they actually have ballpoint pens on them, so he can sign his name like that. But nice. Shredder's not into that. He quotes Robin Hood, the spoon because it'll hurt more. You twit, so he puts spoons on him, and then that doesn't work either. So it's a whole thing.
So the other thing I want to say really fast is just that Galahad doesn't do himself any favors by not being the most forensically minded, given he's the judge, jury, and executioner a bit,
right?
Of doing both arms of the law. I think the problem is that he just doesn't know what cuts look like.
Oh yeah,
he's like
exactly.
Slashed. Obviously, the work of Headhunter,
right?
When the only work he's seen Headhunter do is garrot people
and arrows. That's it.
And arrows, and that's not any of that work.
No.
And then he learns that Shredder did it, and I'm like, wait a minute, Galahad, were you about to add that to her death toll?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If Shredder hadn't been there,
even look, you just went slashed, obviously by Headhunter, and you don't know the difference.
Yeah, he's almost as bad as April in the. As April in the animated series, where she sees the rope that says Japan on it and just assumes that's.
And she goes,
like,
it must be the turtles.
Yeah.
She's like, they betrayed us all.
Yeah.
Like without even talking to them.
Yeah.
It was obviously done by ninjas. Well, turtles are evil.
Yep.
That's cool. Wow. That's what do I do with my life now?
Exactly.
Yeah. I question his investigation methods, his forensics. And I wonder how many people he's put away.
That's
based
true.
on that. Like,
he can't feel good about
what kind
himself.
of kangaroo court are they running in Midway City anyway? Where he's like, and then I saw as Galahad. I saw bodies slashed up everywhere, and it was obviously Headhunter.
Yeah.
And the jury's like, oh yeah, no, he knows what he's talking about. And the defense is like, Your Honor, my defense MO is I cut people's heads off by garroting them.
Right.
or I use arrows. And the judge is like, overruled.
Yeah.
And they just convict people over there.
They just convict people.
That's just how that
Well,
works.
do you think he shows up to work like some days forgetting he still has his mask on or his belt, his giant G belt? Like he shows up in there and he's like, got that on. And he's like, so the hero Galahad, what could you explain what he looked like? Well, he looked a lot like you. No, couldn't be.
Yeah.
Well, no, I think there's as much evidence that you're him as it is that I killed these people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Shredder talks about, you know what? Okay, well, here you go. You can have her. You can find her upstairs, whatever. But if you happen to cross paths again with me, I will crush you. And then Galahad, as trying to get the last word, he goes, just keep your feet out of Midway City and slams the door.
Got him.
So yeah. So then he goes up and he finds Headhunter, and she's up there saying that she's already suffered a fate worse than death. Actually, it was better than when he broke my fingers and severed the tendons in my own hands with my own sai. And as you can see, it looks like the sai is going through her hand. Like, am I not mistaken? Like that's what that looks like. So, yeah. So they go back and forth, and He tries to arrest her. He takes the sai out. Yeah, that's what it was. And he goes, "You're under arrest for the murder of D.A. Terry Todd of Midway City." And he starts to read her her rights and talk about getting her to a hospital and stuff like that. And she's trying to strike a deal, but like he doesn't have any room for anything she's offering. You know, he says, "I'm a happily married man. You've got nothing that I'm interested in." She goes, "Too bad," and just like hits him underneath the chin, knocks him down. And he goes, could have had fun, but I've never corrupted a Boy Scout before. But, you know, so go back to your pretty little wife and your picket fence now. And just remember one thing, I'll be back for you someday when my hands heal. And, yeah, there's like a whole, like, kind of Daredevil, Elektra, little bit of Black Cat, Spider-Man thing kind of going. Then days later, you got your boy. I'm assuming, well, it's hard for me to tell if this is black and white. I'm assuming it's night because he's essentially wearing his Galahad outfit, but with just a trench coat over it.
Yes. If it's broad daylight, that'd be a problem.
Yeah, that would be a problem. But he's he's at a gravesite and he's talking to Terry, the DA, and he's talking about how, like, I got screwed up royally, and like, she got away. Blah blah blah. The very first time she shows her face anywhere in the world, I'll be on her in a minute. I'm gonna avenge you. I swear it. And you're still my bud, and like we're pals, and like I'll never forget the times we had together. And I swear it. And I love you. And a lot of stuff, a lot of emotions are going on here with this guy. Like he's just all over the place. Like he's essentially
time when we traveled to North Midway City to take part in another trial, and when I was lonely and you were in the hotel, I put a wig on you, and I just laid there and spooned you,
and I pretended you were Justice, and I put the blindfold on
Justice, and Terry, you got it going on.
Yeah, and I'll never forget the horse times, and the best of times and the horse of times, and they
our time
just
at
the Dude Ranch, and so and that's where this issue comes to a close, everyone.
Yep.
And so that was Big Bang Comics number 10, at least the pertinent
Number
Teenage
10.
Mutant Ninja Turtles relevant part of the issue. And dude, I gotta say, like, your commentary on his duality was like really put this in perspective in a lot of ways, and I really appreciated that, because I read this and we had a discussion about whether or not, because this was only like, I think like 18 pages or something like that.
Yeah, it wasn't a ton. Yeah,
it wasn't a ton, but I felt like it was on the borderline of like, there's enough here that we can do a single issue or a single episode, and then we could also just speed through it. But I'm really glad we went through it the way we did, because I am too. This had a lot of stuff, and so much stuff about like the origin of the Turtles and Shredder, and I love that. Sorry, I'm fighting a sneeze and I'm trying to like buy time, and I think I got rid of it. Okay. I love that Shredder, I don't know, I'm of two minds about this. So I sometimes I love the idea of learning more about our antagonist, because, with any good story, you just want to know about the world and like all this other stuff, and just kind of get
what's going on in it.
Yeah, absolutely. But the problem with that is that as soon as you get any more information, and that's to your point about like, judge and jury and all this stuff like that, the more sides of the story you see, the more your perspective changes and things kind of become different. You see it differently. And that's kind of the downside to finding out more about the antagonist, is that when they're pure evil, that's easy to handle. But when not that Shredder did anything redeeming in here either, except he showed a little bit of honor, maybe a little bit, but
there was some honor.
But nevertheless, the idea of that is always fascinating to me. So that's why I really wanted to harp on this. And now I do believe we end up. I know we see Galahad again very soon, and I believe we see Headhunter not too far from now, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah. So overall, I really enjoyed this, and I thought it was interesting seeing a hero just be so like just befuddle his way through all this stuff and really not resolve to do anything in the end. Like he didn't win, nothing was resolved, and it's just he's back where he was. So I like that. What did you...
I guess he found out a lot. I liked it. I think it's interesting when you kind of deal with a new character, right? Like they're trying to like lay stuff in with him. And I don't know a lot, obviously, about Galahad enough to know like how long he had been in Big Bang Comics before this. But I do like seeing the character. I really like having him interact with like an early Oroku Saki. I love the adding debatably canon now question, right? Because Image has been kind of held up as maybe not being canon, depending now, based on what Laird had to say about it. But I do like at the time, at least, that they were introducing like a failed assassination attempt by elements of the Foot Clan still loyal to whoever they had been led by before. Probably guys like Hamato Yoshi, who were on the up and up. I do like
that's
that
an interesting take. Like
they could have those ninjas, those foot ninjas that betrayed him were good guys. Probably.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Like, I did not even think about that. That's amazing.
Yeah, like they could have like honestly, Shredder may have had to do a bit of the Night of the Long Knives situation, like a purge. When he took over the Foot Clan, right? Because there's just no way that all of them were just going to be loyal to what he wanted to do, because he really corrupted the Foot Clan.
Oh yeah, like, I had not thought about that.
Doing like petty crime and like holding people up and like dealing arms to people that killed children and stuff. And he was just like, I'm doing this, like robbing all the soda machines. We saw it.
Yeah, we saw it.
You know what I'm saying?
They said Clang.
We saw it in color. We know what it is.
We saw it in color.
So he was doing all that, and I think that like this is a little piece of like his kind of coup. Like I think that's really interesting.
Oh, I love
that. That's neat to me,
dude.
And of course, questioning. Whenever you and I, thing we love to do. Whenever we are both getting into something or whatever, we always like to like talk about all of its ramifications. So I feel like that's one of the things where I feel like this review or the things we brought up is very much like what we would have brought up in person. Like we both read this comic, we would have had a long conversation about like the justice system and kind of like stuff like that, because the comic's bringing that, right? Like the comic's bringing Galahad as this character. So, you are then invited to consider, right? Like, what is justice? Like why is what Galahad's doing a little kooky? Like it's doesn't feel totally right. What feels a little off to you about that? But let's look at the modern justice system and the way it's set up in this country, and why is it better that it works the way it does, than the way that Galahad wants it to work? Because even Batman never testifies in court. Batman never he literally he neutralizes the target and lets the police do all the investigation, basically. Like he lets them gather the evidence and do whatever. Galahad, I don't know, in Midway City maybe he works that way, but over here, I don't know what he was thinking. Like, does New York police know that this guy's coming in from another jurisdiction and operating in their backyard? I mean, typically police don't like that.
Right. But I mean, this is the Image universe, so I don't know if Savage Dragon was in Chicago at the time the Turtles were kids, but nevertheless,
like,
that's still
where is. No, true. I would be interested. I mean, because Galahad is in the Image universe, but he's not a Image character,
right?
As you know what I mean, per se. Like that's part of that like independent creator thing that Image still respects,
Right.
Like if you can go look up Big Bang Comics right now.
Mhm.
Actually, if you just search Kid Galahad image,
Yeah.
it comes up with bigbangcomics.com,
Mm.
which is a page about Big Bang Comics
Yeah.
and all their characters. And Galahad is one of their characters,
Mhm.
and they're independent.
Yeah.
Like, so interesting to see. I'm sure they had crossovers, but I do believe that Kid Galahad would not be in the traditional Image universe.
Yeah.
Like, of like Eric Larson and Founders characters. But
Mhm.
anyway, it is
Right.
interesting to see another universe thrown into it for sure.
It is. Now, real quick before we go, so I'm a big fan of this. I love having the Turtles be in a shared universe. I think that,
Yeah.
and as we've seen so far, like with Mako and there was somebody else that popped up, but even Savage Dragon, like I love the idea that the Turtles have all these like relations, and that was like something about that. And I think that's what drew me into comics too as a kid, was that
Yeah.
that like
the
there's all
universe.
these tethered
Yeah.
webs that like just connect everything. So it's like, read this, read that,
Absolutely.
go check this out to find out what's happening here. Oh, Thor's in the sewers and finds Archangel like being like crucified. Like that's wild. Or whatever. I gotta read about Thor now and stuff. I loved that. So I love when the Turtles do it. And the best thing about the Turtles is that they work in almost every situation you throw them in. They're an added. They're almost like a instant win. Like they're essentially like invincible to any kind of plot you can throw at them. I feel like with especially when you throw in other characters. And there's something about the Turtles that they're the secret sauce. You know what I'm saying? They just make everything they bring it together and it's awesome. So,
They do.
Well, guys, what did y'all think about this? Did you like Galahad? Do you want to see more of him? Do you prefer your heroes to also work for the justice system? Do you like that? Do you hate it? We want to know. Let us know. Email us at turtlesoupshow@gmail.com. You could also find the home of the internet, turtlesoupshow.com, has all of our episodes where we've talked about stuff similar to this and more on the internet. So you can go download those and listen to them on your favorite podcast apps. And you can follow us on Instagram and other things, Turtle Soup Show with the underscores between each word. And if you want to be a part of all the wonderful kookiness that happens in the Turtle Soup fandom, you can join Facebook, join the Turtle Soup group on Facebook. Lots of cool people in there, and a lot of news gets shared there pretty quickly. So if you want to be kept up to breast on TMNT news, that's one of the main places to go. And then, if you could rate, review, subscribe wherever you're at. And if you're on here on YouTube joining us, please likewise like, subscribe, and comment. All of that helps us out tremendously and keeps us from saying clang. But the main way to keep us from saying clang is for those of you who go the extra mile, to preserve our clanglessness, if you will, you can go to patreon.com, find Turtle Soup's Done by Making a Podcast, and you get all kinds of stuff by joining up and helping us out by throwing some pennies our way. And the one I was thinking about, God, my brain just like totally died on me. The thing I was going to say was that we got back to doing our bonus episodes, and that's one of the cool things about the Patreon, is that if you like us talking about all kinds of random stuff, turtle related and not, we usually do a 30-minute episode. We'll do 2 of them a month, or we're trying to get back into that now. But we had about like 80 or 90 of them or so up there now. And you have all that backlog and more to look forward to from joining Patreon. So be sure to do that. And we sincerely appreciate it. And I think that that's going to get us up to breast on everything that we had to do. So yeah. So all right, so we should be back next week with issue 9 of volume 3 of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from Image Comics, and we'll see how this story that we just reviewed will play into that one, but you'll have to come around for that next week. So until then, else time.